AJ Styles, a man who has wrestled for nearly every wrestling promotion on this earth, is back in action figure form, this time by Figure Toy Company in their Rising Stars line. We've had previous TNA AJ Styles figures from Jakks, and we will see a WWE AJ Styles from Mattel later this year. Will this one be the definitive AJ Styles figure from his time with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling? We'll see. The figure comes in a collector-friendly package. You do have to remove the Figure Toy Company flap at the top to open the packaging, but once that's gone, you can easily remove or reinsert that figure into the packaging. I see on the front that it says Variant Edition, but I haven't heard anything about a non-variant. The back of the card shows the rest of the wrestlers who will hopefully be coming out in this line sooner rather than later. I think the sculpt on the face is strong. It's obviously done by a human and isn't a scan, so it is stylized and has a bit of that human touch. AJ is presented with a great deal of emotion, and I'd say it's a successful sculpt with a good likeness. There's a lot of detail work in the face, but I wish that there was less pink and red used around the eyes. For the most part, the paint is crisp and clean, but unfortunately on the leg of mine, the AJ logo is smudged a bit, which is a bummer. There are also smaller smudges on his kick pads, but that's not as noticeable as his AJ logo. The body plasticity feels cheap, and there is an overall looseness with this figure. The worst of this is where the head and the neck meet. The neck is too long and the head is not tight at all, and you'll probably have difficulty getting it to stay in place unless he's wearing his vest. So I'd recommend leaving that on when you display him. Accessories. This is, in my opinion, the selling point of this figure. This release is loaded with accessories. An entrance vest, a water bottle, a towel, a barricade, and a microphone. The microphone and water bottle are fun to use with his open mouth. You can make it look like he's either yelling into the mic or gulping down some water. And of course, this water bottle has many other uses with other figure lines. Triple H, baby! The barricade is basic, and I hope that other figures in this line will come with them so you can have a barricade. I honestly had high hopes for this towel, but in application it doesn't look too great. He looks more like AJ Stylista than AJ Styles with it on. Also, I'm worried that the small threads will break over time on the clasp. Plus, there was a gnarly stain online, which is never a good sight to see on cloth goods. Stain Stick will probably remove it, but that's not something that consumers should have to deal with. The entrance vest is a sight to behold. It is crafted quite well and includes a working zipper and zipper decals on the side. This thing screams high quality, and it's the highlight of this release. It's interesting to note that the tag on the inside shows the Ring of Honor logo, but this is not from that line. Will we see this vest reused? I opened the zipper and closed it a few times. I do not see any signs of breakage. The first time re-zippering it up was a little tough, but once you get used to it, it's not that difficult. Let's talk articulation. I have a tough time reviewing this figure with that in mind. I'm not sure whether to hold it to the standards of 10 to 20 years ago when this style was in, or compare it to what is currently on the market. Figure Toy Company's shtick is to kind of fill in the spaces of old nostalgic toy lines like they're doing with their Mego releases. Or is it Mego? I never know. Now they have their hands on wrestling, but I'm not sure if the Jakks style was the one that they should have gone with. I don't think that's what most people feel nostalgic about. I'd argue that most wrestling fans get nostalgic over the old Hasbro figure designs. But, that's not what they gave us, so we have bodies based on simplistic old-school Jakks articulation and oversized sculpts. They certainly have fun designs and lead to some great playability based on their less-than-real-life, larger-than-life body sculpts, but at the price range and wrestler selection, it seems clear that these are for adult collectors who, honestly, in my opinion, have probably phased out their Jakks figures for the current Mattel sculpts and articulation. Hell, even at the end of Jakks TNA line, they were selling low-priced figures with more articulation than these. But it's easy to spend time discussing and dreaming of a what-if scenario. But these figures are what we have, so I guess I'm going to discuss them instead of wishing for more contemporary articulation. There are some levels of bummer with this articulation. The hands at first feel like they don't want to move, so you really have to put some strength into moving them. But after that, they should move fine. Also, I found that there is an overall looseness to some portions, and even some part falling outage. Other than that, the articulation is smooth because of the looseness, except for the hands and wrists. There are about 10 points of articulation on this guy. Not great. Now, value. Again, when discussing value, articulation comes into play. For a $30 figure, $40 after shipping, this articulation does not hold up for the price. For $30 though, it seems suitable when considering the accessories and fabric goods. I'm honestly blown away by the effort that they put into creating the jacket, and I love the idea of a cloth towel. It's a little thing I never expected to see with a wrestling figure, and even though in use it doesn't look that great, it's something I'd love to see built upon. I just wish they found a way to lower the shipping, because at $40, this is not a good value. At $30 though, like if you compare it to Mattel's defining moments, it makes sense. You know, we get so many more accessories and quality with those accessories. Yeah, the articulation is lacking, but I don't think we've seen accessories like this in 5 to 10 years from Mattel. We get so much more in this other than articulation. And on the point of articulation, my mind can kind of justify the limited range when you compare this to one of NECA's clothed figures. They're priced similarly and both have limited range of articulation. Just that $10 shipping, cheap plastic, and looseness issues that are the major bummers here and really bring down the value. Overall, though, I was a bit hesitant to pick up this figure, especially with Mattel's version coming out before this year ends. But now that I have it in my hands, I can't really see myself not having it. The accessories really make this figure, and I'm blown away by the level of detail and fabric work. Jacket has a working zipper. That's crazy, and it's something that I personally haven't seen in a figure of this scale. The articulation leaves a lot to be desired though, and the dated sculpt will make this figure stick out in your collection, if you've already switched over to Mattel from Jakks, which I'm sure most of you have. But for me, I'm excited about this guy. It's not a perfect figure, but it's a cool figure. I'm no huge fanboy of AJ Styles, nor am I a shill for Figures Toy Company. I honestly just like this figure enough to give the shortcomings a pass. I'm excited to have this be a stepping stone in a new collection of wrestling figures with indie guys. It's just a bummer that the scales and sculpt of my wrestling figures won't match. Personally, I feel like Figure Toy Company are so close to greatness with this release. You can tell that they're trying, but this figure is brought down by its archaic articulation and overall looseness. The figure itself does not feel anywhere close to being worth $30, but the accessories are worth the price of admission. If they can figure out a way to make the body not feel like it's going to fall apart, then they have gold. This figure was purchased by me for this review with my own money. All opinions are my own. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button. Go a long way, yo. See you guys in the next.